Yeah, because I've seen it. Okay, I've had the same problem.
All right, so welcome and thank you for being here. I will introduce the movie by myself, and I will talk a little bit about the background experience that is part of this project. I was supposed to do it together with Karol Fluhauf, which is the founder of Bridgeguard, this artist residency that I choose this project to build up, but Karol unfortunately is not here, and so I will try to explain a bit more about Bridgeguard in the Pecha Pucha session of tomorrow. Today I will share a little bit the experience that will lead me to this project, basically. So, this is me. I'm Mattia Mura. I'm an Italian documentary filmmaker. And there's a little bit of my experience. And the story I want to tell you, very briefly, starts here. 2016. I will be fast, I promise. But that's the beginning of what happened. I was in this place, Fabrica. It's an artist residency in close to Treviso, created by the Benetton group. It's a communication research center, basically. So the idea is that people under 25 years old can apply, and the application is ongoing all year long. You present your portfolio and your CV, your motivations to get there. If they like your profile, they put you in this hub, let's say, where you have usually 1 year to work on your practice and to do some work for this Benetton company. I don't know if you are familiar with the company that now in the US, I don't think it's here anymore. But the founder of this place was Oliviero Toscani, this renowned photographer, and he was part of the factory of Andy Warhol back in the days. So I think part of the idea comes right from that experience. Even the name is like a factory in Italian, but it's a game of words with fabric because it's a clothing company. So I was lucky enough to get in this place, and I spent about 3 years in there, which was super beautiful. But our story starts with a failure, with a small failure. Basically, I was proposing a project to Fabrica while I was there in 2016. It was a documentary project about a spiritual community in northern Italy. And they said that it was not in line with their style. So they rejected it, even though I was already inside and I was working a lot for the company. So I felt that it was not a reason to give up or to feel bad, but it was a good opportunity to start thinking, to start looking for a place that would allow me to have more creative freedom and do what I like most. That means doing documentaries and doing things that can be useful. And so I started a massive research online that led me to check many artist residencies all over the world and see what kind of possibilities they were giving to people. And the one that really resonated with me was Bridgeguard. I saw this image about this bridge, Maria Valeria Bridge, which is, as you can read, a bridge on the Danube River at the Slovak-Hungarian border. And it's the main focus of the Bridgeguard Artist Residency. There's a website, some of you might know it already, and basically this was the last bridge that has been rebuilt after the Second World War. People were not connected anymore from the two sides of this river. The people that once were part of the same country, because before the Second World War, Hungary was both sides. And all of a sudden they couldn't meet, they couldn't talk, and that was the same for a very long time. So the purpose of Bridgeguard Artist Residency is to connect again the two sides, putting a bridge guard in there, a kind of intellectual or spiritual guard that through artistic projects can enhance this connection. And yeah, immediately ring the bell on me because I was like, okay, this is very interesting. My work usually deal with border territories or the idea of limit as a concept. So limit between art and protest, for example, or between spiritual world and material world. So the concept of limit is something that comes back a lot in what I do. And I thought for about 1 year about this project, and before proposing it to Carol, that I didn't know at that time. And at the end, I sent this proposal titled Breakfast Over the Bridge. The idea was basically to allow people to meet in the middle of the bridge and have a conversation during a breakfast, people that didn't know each other. So that was the kind of idea. And yeah, they approved the project, they liked it, but there was this nice thing going on, that since their schedule is very long to do a project, like they plan artists in advance, I had to wait something like 2 years before getting in there, which is not bad at all, actually. I think it's an interesting aspect because you have even more time to overthink to your project, and I knew that no matter what it was going to happen in the upcoming 2 years, I still have this beautiful thing waiting for me in front of me. So I really like this opportunity, and I also like the idea of waiting. Then we had a pandemic. It was April 2020. This image is from Milan, where I was living in that moment. And this is a very touristic place usually. It's Navigli. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it was completely empty. It was shocking to see this. And so I was very worried. I was like, is it gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? But we spoke with Carol, and also the pandemic was easing down during the summertime. So in September, we decided to go. And that was another lifesaver, let's say, because while I was doing this project in the border between Slovakia and Hungary, Italy was in the second lockdown. So I would have been stuck at home without doing anything in a very stressful situation. Like my friends that were in Italy, once I came back after the 6 months residency, they were very different because of the experience they had. And in my case, I was in the most beautiful of my time. So there was a massive contrast. And okay, I want to tell you just briefly how we did the project, and then we can go for the screening. These are flyers that we made, and we put it on the streets in the two sides of the bridge. So in Slovakia, in Slovak, and in Hungary, in Hungarian, to invite the people to come for a talk. The idea was, I don't speak Slovak and Hungarian. Now I speak a little bit of Hungarian, but I proposed them to speak if they knew some other languages that I was familiar with. That was a big plus, especially for the first phase of the interviews. But the idea was basically to make this massive casting, open casting, to allow anyone that wants to come from the two communities to talk with me and to have an interview. And then after this, I did a selection of couples that could have been a good fit for the story of the documentary. The story focused on the bridge, on the story of the bridge, but it gives also an overview about the surrounding area based on these different narratives that I found in there. And this was the studio, the one that we set up for the interviews. I did these two colors, red and blue, to intensify the two sides, the opposition of the two sides, and to help the audience to understand a little bit more what's going on through the two sides of the river. So blue is for the Slovak side, but not necessarily for the Slovaks, because there are many Hungarians living on the Slovak side. And red is for the Hungarian side, which is the other one. So this was the studio, and this is one of the interview, but also this guy is Matthias Zebelai. He's one of the first people I met when I was there at the residency, and he became my assistant during the whole process. Without him, I couldn't have done half of what I did. And I think that's another very good aspect of this residency, like having the possibility to interact with the locals, and the response of the locals was great as well, boost the project. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a good fit for this narrative. Like, the response was very good. And I think the fact that I was from abroad helped me out in this specific experience. And if you're Slovak or if you're Hungarian, people might look at you in a different way in the area, but if you're an Italian coming from outside, okay, that's good. You're a neutral person. And yeah, this is a bit the setup that you will see later. We shot the breakfast on the bridge with 4 cameras. There was another one behind there, one hiding over there. Sometimes I was moving around to do some other shot. So yeah, that's the overall thing. The fact that I really like of this project is, despite the result that you're gonna see, this encounter, this performative encounter, helped a lot the people to create new connections. And the fact that there were people part of the community helping me out was another plus, because they managed to think over, to know better stories that were part of their own life, but they never really dig on. And that's it. So I hope you're going to enjoy the movie, and if you have some question later, we can talk about it. Thank you.